All right, welcome to another episode of the Top Corner Podcast, and today is 9/23/24. Your host is Jordan, and your co-host is
You made it sound like a serial number. That was awesome. Yep, 9/23/24, or as it's commonly known, September 23rd. Anyway, yeah. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. How are you doing?
Very good. Running a little.
Let's applause for us first before we start the show.
Shit.
Yeah,
Already?
just because sometimes in life you gotta give yourself props, you know, and nobody gonna do it.
It's a mental health day.
Yeah.
I've spent all day telling myself how great I am, so it's good that you're allowing this.
Yeah,
as well.
definitely. You gotta do that, man. If you watch the weekend games, you had fun, and if you watch even the week game, you had more fun because we had the new Champions League format. The game was so much fun. They had so many games I couldn't even keep up with games. I was like, oh, not too much games, please.
and at the end of the day, these guys are playing, and you don't want to diminish the value because they're doing this across multiple tournaments. Really, they didn't add that many more games to the scenario, right? You play 8 in the league instead of 6 in the group, and you play an extra playoff round. I'm not diminishing the value of that, but I kind of liked that 3-day opener. But it's only because this past week I had the time all 3 evenings to have one game apiece. But if you look at the rest of the tournament, a lot of the times there's 2 games on a Tuesday and a Wednesday that are kind of must see, and the streaming platforms that we have, they'll do simulcasts later on. If there's 2 games on the day and that's it, they'll play them both at the same time. But they need to upgrade the package to where you can watch 2 games at the same time.
Paramount used to.
They only do it if those are the only games playing. So if it's the round of 16 and there's multiple games, but if it's the semifinals, the quarterfinals, and there's 2 games on Tuesday and 2 games on Wednesday, they'll do simuls for that.
It's weird. I can't keep up. My brain can. I just gotta watch 1 game. If I watch 2 games, it's like I'm really not paying attention. It's more like a dog staring at the TV.
I agree. I don't love the function, but it's sometimes I need to because you sort of have this completist attitude where it's if there's 2 massive matchups, and one of them is the club that you support, so you're like, okay, well, I have to watch that one. Definitely. But this game is the bigger game, not my team's. Right. But it's you feel this requirement to do that, but also sometimes the announcers will get into this thing of and it's 4-1 in Milan. And for the other game, and you're no, don't do that, because not everybody's able to do that. Not everybody's able to watch a 4 TV setup in their man cave. Some of us are on an 8-hour time difference, and we don't get to do that. So it's a little annoying. But then,
speaking about games, there's a lot of games. They are playing too much games. They are playing too many games. They're playing, and it's not. And when I say games, it's there is no luxury of not taking a game serious in any competition, because you got the league, you got the cup, you got when you go to the national, because they don't play international friendlies anymore, they turn it into another cup. Which the players have been complaining. And Rodri said this on September 17. I think we are close to that. We are close to going on strike because we're playing too much game. And guess what? This weekend, he got injured. So
that was that was the definition of, I don't want to say ironic, but it was a cosmic situation, because I was watching that game with my grandparents again, and they're very, very new fans. They kind of basically understand the rules, and that's about it. So I was he went on, because as he's down on the pitch, I was like, wow, that's what happens. And I explained that situation to them.
You know what's crazy though? I feel like they will have to find something, because a remedy or situation or something. I don't know, because there's a lot of Barcelona, there's a lot of injuries already piling up. Even Arsenal, my fear is for Saka. Saka is 23. He's played a lot of games. Since last year.
And if you look at him, it's kind of funny, and not because it's his career, and my grandma, who she has no reference for any of this. She sits there and hears what I'm saying about these games. She's like, that's going to make their careers shorter. And I'm like, exactly. People that aren't even involved with the sport that much just immediately are they understand this to be true. Saka's 23. He already looks 28.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to him.
Because he plays so much. Even from the from the club itself to the how you call it, the nationals.
Yeah.
You know, he's playing too much, man. They gotta figure out something about this game.
You know what's probably gonna have to happen though, because like we this is a big conversation.
Yeah.
Because you have to think about this as well. Rodri is the top 1% of players, so of course he's playing all of those games. There are guys at lower divisions that can't afford to go on strike. They are only playing, their domestic league. They might squeak into a second round of a domestic cup if they're lucky, but like they will gladly take over your spot. So like scab wages are a real thing. Are you familiar with scab wages? Like scab workers. So if a union goes on strike, a lot of times instead of paying the union what their demands,
they just hire other people.
They hire people for the same labor because they need that job. And the union frowns on that, obviously, and it's not the best tactic, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's a necessity to move forward for certain circumstances. But yeah, I mean, of course, you have guys that are going to come up from League One, League Two, and play for Man City. Or, if Rodri wants to step down from Spanish competition, there's a lot of Spanish guys in the lineup that are willing to do it. And I'm not saying, stop complaining, Rod, like, do your job, because it is you are playing more games than them. You're playing more games because you are better.
Yeah.
And your demand is higher than theirs. Like that's undeniable. So what needs to probably happen, I kind of had the idea a couple of days ago. It just needs to be a contractual obligation to where these players like Rodri get percentages for matches that they don't play. Like, look,
no,
he has no reason to play in the FA in the Carabao Cup.
No, yeah, that would be good if they didn't get paid, but they get paid.
Yeah, it needs to there needs to be an incentive for the bigger guys to not play in these smaller cut. Like, just don't play them. And seriously, like not the Euros, but there's another competition as well. I forget what it is. It's one of those that they're turning in from a friendly.
That's in the national.
Yeah, it's another UEFA competition.
It's a UEFA League Cup or
League Cup.
Something.
Yeah. Don't play it.
The problem is that they cannot not play it.
Why?
Because since back in the days, right, you used to have international friendlies, right? The stadiums will be empty because the fans are assuming it's just a friendly. So also the team itself, like the national team itself, will not put their best players. Sometimes they will reserve it or rotate a lot. Now on the FIFA, I think in 2017, and the person that came with that idea was Matt. I forgot the name, but he was the UEFA president at the time, and he was also caught in the big scam that happened where they paid a lot of federation to allocate.
Yeah.
So the idea is that instead of, we should remove the friendlies and we should turn into the cup.
Sure.
So there's no luxury of sitting down your best players anymore.
Yeah, and I understand that in the early stages of wanting each game to matter, and players want the games to matter as well. They don't want to go out and say this is a BS game, but like at the end of the day, now every single thing that we play is make or break, allegedly, even though it's not.
Yeah.
Whether the League Cup is nothing compared to the Euros or the World Cup. Like, so, you just have to accept the fact that these players, because with each competition, the nation asks the players to take part in the competition. No. I'll be there for the World Cup and I'll be there for the Euros if you need them, and if you need me, if you call me, I'll come for those. I need a break.
Yeah.
And the players understand this, and the coaches understand it too. The only ones that don't understand it are the ones that are putting tournaments together. And just say, with all due respect, even though the sides that won their respective Champions Leagues will not be playing in the FIFA Club World Cup. It'll be the B teams coming in because they need a break, because we can't allow one your prize money for this one competition is not enough compared to what the other ones are.
Yeah.
So there's incentive for everybody to just bench those players, and those tournaments already don't make as much money as the big ones anyway. So something's got to give, and it's not going to be the money-hungry people. No. These players don't have to go on strike, I don't think. Just go on strike for particular tournaments.
Yeah.
I'll promise you all 38 Premier League games. I'll promise you every bit of this, Champions League format, even though we don't really know what these extra games are going to do.
Yeah.
But it's like I can't.
Yeah.
I can't take part in these other things. If we get past the 6th round in the FA Cup, Yes.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I kind of understand. I really want to see how the remedy, because since 2017-18 players have been complaining. Even the old players now that are legends, because if you watch football in 2000 in the 2000s, they didn't play that many games, and they still had a lot of injuries. So imagine a 17-year-old kid playing 100 games a season. That is crazy. But talking about Rodri and his injury, let's talk about Arsenal. Well, before we even get there, there is a rumor that Juventus might be interested in Osimhen, and I guess he probably might get back his grand debut for Juventus.
Where are they looking for the January market? Or are they going to wait till the summer?
Like that. But there's also another team that was interested. I forgot the team. But these are all rumors.
I'd heard that Chelsea was trying to make a move for January.
I think that's the other team.
So he might not even be there that long. He might be there for a good 16 games or so.
Yeah.
And he might help them get somewhere in the Europa League, and they'll dip out before, which that's kind of funny. But yeah, I mean,
it makes sense.
He shouldn't have gone in the first place, and we all know that. Everyone knows that, including. It's got to be kind of awkward in the training room, because it's like nothing personal, but we know that this is not your destination spot. We know that you should not even be here.
At the end of the day, everybody in that was a Galatasaray should expect him to leave at any time soon.
Literally, anytime. He might be here for a couple of months, and that is it. I mean, you expect him to be somewhere else anyway. So if they speed it up and make the process in January, and Chelsea look like they're figuring out some sort of good form, so it might be the time.
It looks like you're right. It looks like something is working, and let's pivot to Man City versus Arsenal. If you watch the game, that was a good game.
It was a great game.
It had everything. It had the drama, the trash talking, the shoving, the pushing. It had anything that a football or soccer fan wants to see on the weekend. To borderline, that's what I would say.
Right. Well, and
borderline.
And one thing that it's one of those games, and it's a really good game when a lot of the talking points are on the defense.
Yeah.
It's because it's often not that. People, a lot of fans think that, they look at the Bayer Leverkusen Wolfsburg 4-3 and go, ooh, that had to have been a great game, a lot of goals. And it's like, yes, I understand what you mean, because goals are fun to watch, but that means that the defense wasn't performing as well as it should either. Sometimes a great block is just as exciting as a goal. And I think that matches like City and Arsenal this past weekend really proved that, and that's for me, that was really fun to sit back and watch. That
City Arsenal is worthy of a finals game. They had everything, and also there were certain mistakes that I wouldn't have imagined both clubs would have made. Like the first goal, Haaland's first goal, I think, who was that? Was it Saliba or Gabriel? He should have closed that angle as soon as Haaland had that little opening, because Savinho, this kid is great. He's going.
You can see it from a mile away.
Yeah. So he had all the time to position himself.
It was right. It was right in the center of Gabriel and Saliba. Saliba had came over a little bit too far, on the left to shut down Savinho, and Gabriel didn't come up.
If Gabriel had closed a little bit that space, it would have forced Savinho to look at an other alternative.
But I don't think that Saliba needed to go over that far. It was a mix. It was a mix. Gabriel needed to come over a little bit and remedy the situation, but Saliba was pulled apart too much as well.
And if you send that ball to Haaland there. Yeah. Well, he misses. He really misses in those situations.
That's where, that's his game plan, and it happened in slow motion.
Yeah.
Because what his goals look like, and it's getting in behind the defender. He doesn't have to put his back to the goal at all, and it's a single. It's a single little low shot in, and when you saw that gap open, it was like, no. It took 1,000 years. It's amazing.
Last year, actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in burst stats. Last year, he wasn't caught offside. He's so great at just, running between that back line at the right time.
Well, it's not only that. It is that he has great timing with it too, but he understands how fast he is.
Yeah.
And how long his stride is. I don't have to even worry about being on that line.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to catch me. Because he's not like Raheem Sterling's speed, where the tiny legs are going 1,000 miles an hour, and that's fast.
Yeah.
He's people act like they're like, it's like he's not even trying to run. And it's like, no, he's running, but like his legs are so long that he just covers more ground very quickly. And he understands that if this defender is going to have any chance, he's going to have to pivot in a 180. And by that point, he's already gone.
Yeah.
He understands. Like, Darwin Núñez needs to worry about, he needs to understand that a little bit as well.
Yeah,
but his timing, but his natural intuition and just knowing that he doesn't need to be offside because he has the speed to break it down.
Well, let's talk about the game itself. What did you think? I think the game, both sides, there were a lot of things to be reviewed. I think the ref kind of messed it up for both sides at the beginning. And in doing so, there are certain foul that he let play on, because if he had come back, it would be like, come on, bro. And another thing is that when you already messed up the game so much, you can't figure out how to.
Do you sit back and do you sit back and ignore everything now, or do you just continue on the process of destroying more?
Like, that's what will happen because now if you sit back and you just say, hey, I'm gonna just look at it because it's not like flagrant, then everybody's like, oh, but you had with this foul before, and if you don't, so it's like, okay, I'll just mess it up.
And it's not a great. It all comes down to just being consistent. Yeah. But like people say it all the time, like they're like, if there's kind of an iffy foul early on within the first 15 minutes, refs let it go. It's understood that you just let that stuff go. I don't agree with that because consistency prevails, I think. So like. They're letting things go early on because they don't want to fuck things up for the entire time. It's like, if you just have a better sense of what needs to be called and what doesn't, you can give a yellow and you can give a red in the first 15 if it's fucking necessary. But don't do the whole, well, I'll let it go for the first 15, but then I'm going to crack down. It's like, that just shows that you're a bad judge of what's going on here.
So if I was a referee, what I will do, and some Italian referee, they do this the best, is when it's a tough game, don't ref every single little foul. It becomes weird. It slows down the game. It brings down the motion. Then the game becomes people don't enjoy looking at the game, because you gotta understand it's gonna get physical from the get-go. Now what you have to do, don't allow sneaky foul. Because all the sneaky foul because a game like this, of course, it comes with all the perks, the sneaky fouls. It comes with the trash talking, the bad mouthing, the disrespect. Just don't allow the sneaky foul. But allow contact. Yeah. Because guess what? There's gonna be a lot of them. Just don't allow the elbows and all that, because there's gonna be that. So
like literally, we got off to a bad start within the first 10 seconds of this game.
Yeah.
With Rodri on the ground, and I was like, man, because it's not him, like he's not, to me at least, and because I watch a lot of Man City, he's not that kind of player to go down all the time or do that. Like he's not. He's too big really to take that seriously. Usually it's the smaller guys that, because it makes sense for you to go down more and flail. But yeah, like from the very beginning you could tell, and it's not the first rough, poorly refereed game that he's had recently. Even
Michael Oliver.
Yeah, he's
him and I mean they talk about, what's the other guy? Dang, I keep forgetting his name. The ball one.
Yeah.
Man, what's that? It's considered the best ref for at this time. But I think they should reconsider his consideration, because there's a lot of, when he ref games, there's a lot of foul that he left, even in Champions League, even in World Cups, even in Premier League. So for people that know, he's an English referee. He does that every single time, and big games he always mess it up.
Well, one of the big conversations, because it's also not just the Premier League, and don't get me wrong, I've been perusing the comments section. One, I'm not a social media person, everybody. I hate it. I think it's a disease. But I get on the Top Corner deal occasionally and see what's going on. And there's so much bias on both sides. Nobody's really having a mature conversation.
Because they're going with emotion
and lack of intelligence. That's what I've gathered. For some reason, I imagine, just by the way that they enunciate, the way that they kind of convey their ideas, I imagine every football fan's a 12-year-old boy, regardless of how old they are, because it's just what they behave like on social media. But you got to remove the bias out of situations. And one thing that I have seen that makes a lot of sense, referees maybe shouldn't be the same nationality of the league that they referee in.
But it's
not a bad idea.
You think so? But
it's not a horrible idea.
Oh man,
I've heard worse ideas in my life.
Anthony Taylor, actually. But the thing is that with that now you can't. It's gonna be difficult though, because so for you guys that are new at watching soccer, I'll just kind of explain. This is not a fact, but this is more of an observation. If you've been watching the game for so long, Italian referees are known to be tougher because the league is more physical. English referee are a mix of both because it's physical, but also sometimes they will ref fouls. This like if you've been watching the game for so long, you will realize French referees, they know to be softer because everything they're gonna blow. That's why sometimes if you have big games in Champions League, the probability for, especially games that they know is gonna be physical, probability for a French ref to ref will be a little bit lower.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, in the World Cup and friendlies, it makes sense, but in the in the league, I see that blowing up in your faces where you say, "Oh, let's bring this ref from France." They don't understand English football like that. They're gonna be refing every single thing.
Yeah, but we already have enough issues anyway, though. It's like it's clear that English referees don't quite understand the changes that are happening either.
You bring Italian referees, they're not gonna be reffing, and you have a lot of injuries. It's a mix of both. But I understand your point, though. For me, it's like Anthony Taylor shouldn't be reffing games that he comes from the same city, and it has happened before. This is just crazy because you can't let this guy, But the game itself, game itself, they had good things and they had really bad things. I think if you already, especially games like this that borderline, you might end up giving a red card. You have to minimize the chances of both guys getting red card because now it messes up the game, and usually you get out with a controversy that, hey, if I had played 10 or 11 on 11, I don't think you would have won.
Yeah,
there's all the controversies going around.
And one of the things that does work in Michael Oliver's favor for this is that it was a very rough game.
Yeah.
This is a newer rivalry that's developing. Yeah. So like the tension within, it's only been like a 2 or 3 year run where this level of hostility actually exists. Mm-hmm. It's not you expect when they're both firing on all cylinders, a United Liverpool game to be rough, Tottenham Arsenal to be rough, even some of Arsenal Chelsea to be rough. Chelsea Fulham, even though Fulham's not as big of a club, they have that rivalry. So there are certain ones that you see on the fixture and you go, oh, okay, like that might be a rough start.
Liverpool United, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah. But this one now we know it's gonna be really, because we've had a couple of years of understanding it. So
this was the first leg. Well, not the first leg, but the home game. The away game is gonna be interesting. I'm interested to see.
Yeah,
because I think if Arsenal played 11, they will have won the game. Actually, my pronostic, I had Arsenal to win the game because I've seen City this year. They're not looking as the greatest City ever. But the one thing that City is also good at is the ball movement. But I thought if you shut down Rodri, he ended up going out,
Kevin De Bruyne never touched the field either.
Yeah, you will win it. But this kid Savinho, he just came out too, but he's looking really good.
He's very promising.
He's very promising.
And Jack Grealish should have started as well.
Yeah, but Arsenal had it in the pocket. To be honest, Arsenal had it in the pocket. Had that what was that? Had Trossard went out, I think they would have done it.
I liked that 4-4-2 setup.
Yeah,
they looked pretty safe behind the ball with 10 or 11 men, and they
got good defending. It was
it was good to see that. It was good to see that, just so that that throughout the year you can do that, because there have been certain times with this newer Arsenal side where not last season, but it was the season before that, where you could expect an odd goal here and there to be conceded, and you'd hope and pray that it was at the right time for you. But to be able to see them sit back and basically say, like, I made the joke to my grandpa, I was like, that whole back line is gonna be covered in bruises because they're just getting teed off on. Like, everybody's kept getting blasted by these balls from outside the box because they couldn't let them in the box, so they're just taking shots deep and just getting pelted in the face. But to see them against one of the best clubs in Europe, the best club in the league, to be able to sit back with 10 men and play a style that really did feel safe until those last minutes. That was a good defensive test, I thought. Like if you can continue with micro moments of that throughout the season, you should feel comfortable.
Haaland should have gotten a yellow card on his foul on what was his foul on? What was his foul on?
Oh, where he hockey checked Saliba.
Yeah, because
you think so? You think he should have gotten one?
He should have got a yellow card at least because he had 3 fouls, no yellow card in that game. Yeah. But I think he should have gotten at least 1 from all his fouls because the Trossard did that to what's the name?
Silva.
Was it Saliba?
Silva,
yeah, and he got a yellow card, then a red card. But
he didn't get that for the foul though. You saw that, right?
Yeah, but the magnitude of his check as compared to Haaland, I think it's kind of on the same level. At least he should have gotten a yellow card. I think there was a lot of fouls that City players had done that deserved yellow cards. They didn't have it.
Do you think that Haaland should have gotten a yellow card for throwing the ball at Gabriel's head when they scored the goal? Because you don't get to do that in other sports.
Even in football, it just depends who's the referee, to be honest. Yeah. Because if you
I'm not even saying it like a tattletale.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if you are teaching boys, young boys, if you're coaching or you're refereeing a 12-year-old's game and a 12-year-old does that, I do think that you give them a yellow card.
Yeah, even the adults, some like I said, some ref will do that. Some refs will. Then Colina will have done it. Colina is the best ref of all time. He will have done it. But
I think that it was
just creates to that engagement.
I think that he benefited from it being in a goal-scoring moment where the eyes are not on Haaland at the time. There's so much else going on. Literally no one, including the referees on the pitch, were probably looking back there.
Yeah.
And he thought I could get away with
it. But
I
have this great joke that I made to every Arsenal fan. And I say Arsenal players have been playing great football for the past 4 or 5 years. But Arteta hasn't accomplished more than Eric Ten Hag. They both have the same clubs. And they get pissed at me. I'm like, if we basing this on the level of output, they are the same. You can play great football and never win. It don't make
cups and performances are different. I'm obviously not gonna get upset by that. But other sports, it goes the same way too, though. If somebody is, if you're in the NBA and you make it to the semifinals or the finals every 4 years in a row and you don't win, you're happier than someone that either misses the playoffs by 1 spot or is out in the first round. That's just the way it is. And so performance, it is about cups.
It's about titles.
Sure.
Win a title.
Sure. But see,
hey,
I come from different sports where it just doesn't mean the same thing. I'm sorry. If you get to the Super Bowl 3 years in a row, that's a great team. That's a great team.
That's what I'm saying. No, if
you want to win it, but at the end of the day, that's better than missing the playoffs.
Let this. You are a trash team, but you go to the Super Bowl once and you win it in 5 years or 7 years span.
Sure.
The next team that goes to the Super Bowl every single year, or probably 5 years in that 7 years that you won it once, they go to the final, they will never win it. If we had to compare the level of output, or we had to compare efficiency, I'm winning. Because
maybe
it's just math. And I do that to Arsenal fans. I just want to piss them off.
No,
the guy at work, I do that to him every day, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not hearing you."
No, but personally, I do like that journey. Even if some of the best seasons of Alabama were getting to that national title and coming up short. That journey there. I personally would rather be around it all the time and have a lower efficiency rate of getting the title than the one title
that
every 30 years. Because then, if you're suffering mid-table the entire 30 years after that, that's not fun for me. I like that journey.
Hey, and just be like me. Support a team that's gonna win.
Right, and that's what you're not telling. And that's what you're not telling anybody. You're making fun of the other guy, but you're the one that's just you jump ship everywhere.
As soon as you start losing, I just can't. I'm not here to stick for the bad times. This is not a marriage. I'm here for the good times.
Backstabber. But
so the one thing that I didn't like about this rivalry, which is really good or whatever, right, is the disrespect. In a sense, I'm okay for you to trash talk the other guys, poke them in the eyes. I don't care.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I guess.
It creates something. It's the fight. We want to see it. The fans want to see it. So if you want to give him a cheap shot, uppercut, do it.
I don't like that stuff personally.
But when Haaland when at the end of the game, he told Arteta, stay humble, stay humble. I don't think you have to disrespect, because for me, I don't like the disrespect of elders. I'm happy, glad, I like everything about disrespect the other guys, because at the end of the day, you guys are players. But don't disrespect the elders, the coach. He's not on the team, and you're the player. If it was probably Pep Guardiola walking up to Arteta and saying that, I was like, okay, coaches. But Haaland, 23, 24.
Yeah.
You walk up to Arteta and say, hey, stay humble and all that. I don't think that's okay.
He showed when, and the reason I didn't get so upset about anything that he did or said during the game was because really he doesn't have a habit of doing that. He's not a habitually dirty player. You can tell that he was just, emotions were high for him then. He's always pretty calm and collected, and to see him like that, for me, it wasn't worth getting upset about, because it's like he's the one telling the coach to stay humble, but like, you kind of showed your ass today.
Yeah.
Being, getting all worked up, and like you're getting worked up for a reason. Like the more energy that you put toward us, the more that it shows that everything that you're saying about us is not true. You know what I mean? Like if this is the one team that you're having meltdowns over and getting all pouty and all fuck you, it's like, then obviously this thing's real, and you're diminishing the value. You're trying to diminish the value by saying it to my face. But I mean, but you don't get the same attitude against any of the other big clubs in Europe. So he didn't bother me that much. He's not that kind of player.
A comment that I actually liked, I think I read it somewhere, I'm not sure exactly. This guy said, stay humble, stay humble. Buy a referee. It's easy.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right then.
And I thought it was pretty even on both sides in terms of the bad calls. So. And that's where a lot of the bias comes into. I was making comments and people were immediately thinking that I was picking a side because I highlighted one in particular, and I want to talk about the Gabriel Jesus yellow card.
Okay.
People thought that because I was highlighting that as an issue, that I was taking the Arsenal side. Now, I am a supporter of them, but I'm pretty neutral in terms of what's called on the field, and I'm not the conspiracy theorist. I'm not in any sport that I watch, and that was the only one that I was like, you know what? That was kind of the damnedest thing that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And I would be talking about it regardless of what team it was. So, and people were disagreeing with me, and it was amazing because it's so obvious that they just wanted Arsenal to lose, or they don't read English that well, and they didn't understand what I was talking about. So Gabriel Jesus boots the ball out for a corner.
Yeah.
Okay. He plays a defensive play. He knocks it out for the corner. That's fine. His shoe comes off. Bernardo Silva tries to take a quick corner. The line judge is right there, sees the shoe off of Jesus's foot, and allows Silva to play the ball or start getting like fielding the ball out. And Jesus kicks the ball away. That's live because he's like, I have no fucking shoe. And then they give him a yellow card for interfering. It's like, you were about to let this play go on, and I'm on the ground with no fucking shoe.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like. Like, I mean, people were saying, I guess
they should have waited for him to.
You have to. Like, ref.
Yeah, of course, he can play without a shoe. Because if he does, he might also get a yellow card, actually.
Yes. So that was the thing. People were saying that because he booted the ball out for a corner while the ball was live and for a defensive play, that it didn't matter. They're like, oh, he booted it out and the shoe came off. That's his fault. It's like, no, the ball was dead. Bernardo's setting up a kick and is trying to field it out. And the judge is looking at him with no shoe on.
Yeah.
And then give him a yellow card for interfering. It's like, no, you were about to let this ball go live.
I think when you said that, someone highlighted the Kyle Walker, calling of Kyle Walker as he's the captain and he is the last line of defense and talking to him. And then as soon as you're done talking to him, the play just goes on and you're like, oh, you should have waited for me to get back to my position. I don't see that one necessarily as foul, because these are not just tricks of the game. Sometimes you think someone is going to wait to take the free kick, but they take a quick free kick. Even if you play the FIFA, you can see it. You can do it.
Yeah.
In real games, people do it all the time. They just watch our position, and if they figure, oh, that guy is out of position, I'll just freaking play this quick. So I don't think now someone is dumb enough to say, I think in that comment.
And they were.
And I don't know. And he said, well, if it was the goalkeeper is different. The goalkeeper is different. And so I don't
so it's the same equivalent of a quick snap in the NFL. You're not set. Oh, well, yeah, that's part of the game. But you can't quick snap if a guy hasn't gotten his fucking helmet back on yet.
See,
there's a difference. Like part of your uniform that you're required to wear is not on right now. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
We should sometimes think rationally and logically instead of just saying, "Oh, well, what about this? What about that?" I mean, what about that? You understand that is really something that would be done clearly. But at the end of the day,
and that's when you figure out that all soccer fans. I told you, man, grown men, they had the mentality of 12-year-olds. You can just tell by the way that they type out their little dumb thoughts. They are children on the inside. They never grew up, and I fucking hate them. God, I can't stand them.
That's why I kind of stopped supporting emotions. I mean, not saying that whatever, right? But rarely you meet people that are diehard fans of teams that actually, after a game, be it in any other sport, it don't even matter if it's soccer, football, or basketball, that will call out logical errors that was made by their team or the other team. It's always, they want to tilt the scale. They want to make sure that we were not favored and all that. And the logics and the ideas that they always bring to support their argument are just, most of the time, childish. That's why I don't put too much emotions. I'm off it.
See, but I always get in trouble in life because I can do this, that everyone else can do this.
Yeah.
Not that I'm like a superhero, obviously. But like, if I can follow a team passionately, but still be able to look at a moment and judge it accordingly, a lot of other people should be able to, because I'm not the most emotionally composed person on the planet. I'm not suggesting that I am.
Yeah.
The thing about the Trossard red card was surprising to me. If it had come out, if they'd made the statement that they gave him the red card for the challenge against Silva, I'm willing to accept that. If that's what you say to me. But it was because he kicked the ball 1 second after the whistle was blown across the field to a player that could have actively taken the ball and continued the offensive run. That's what I think is bullshit. That's ridiculous, because there was somebody on that right wing that was ready to receive that ball. He was not booting it away. It was curling back over to Martinelli.
Yeah.
So you're like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
That's another thing. It's like I like Madrid, but I'm also I can see what's happening. A lot of times, especially now, if you've seen the last 4 or 5 games of Madrid, there's a lot of awarding of penalty kicks. Some of them, I don't think they're normal.
Yeah.
But I think
one thing about, because that happened again on these fucking dumb chats. Some guy was like, because I said it, I was like, these other leagues are just not having these issues right now.
Yeah.
Weekly breakdowns of what's going on, and this guy goes, obviously you don't watch a lot of La Liga, and it's like, no, because the only teams that are getting the benefit of it are Real Madrid and Barcelona, and that's where the most supporters are, so no one's complaining about it.
Yeah.
Like, of course they're getting the shine, but like, these massive clubs are playing each other, and there's a fucking catastrophe. We haven't even talked about the Vicario handling the ball outside the box.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about Lissandro Martinez with his double foot stomp attempt. We didn't talk about those because there's so much going on. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that other leagues don't have problems. Why is the wealthiest, most high-profile league in the world having multiple issues a weekend?
Yeah. There's always a controversy.
But also, but really fast, it's the, obviously you don't watch any La Liga. I do, bitch. Shut the fuck up. Like, if seriously, if it wasn't this big of an issue, why is every pundit who watches multiple leagues at the same time, like, no one else is talking about La Liga's referee system right now, dumb fucks. They're talking about this because it's an actual issue.
Because this has become
shitbird.
Sorry,
that bothers me.
No, it's alright. This has become it's more of every single week, and since last year. So this is a real problem. If you watch Barcelona, just talking about this quick thing that's very interesting to me. Yamil Yamal was really. It looks like he was kind of targeted in a sense, but he was, man. I would be surprised if this guy is not injured, and he kept getting tackled.
He's got Saka syndrome.
Yeah,
that's what we call it, a Saka syndrome.
Same thing. And the coach of Villarreal said, "Well, if instead of dribbling, you play simple. You prevent this type of situation from happening. What do you mean by that? I feel like you told your players to do this.
No, well, and there's a difference in dribbling and like disrespectful dribbling, which we've seen before. We've seen the guys that try all the like insane amount of step over, like Anthony.
Yeah,
doing some of that bullshit with United. It's like, now that slide in, studs up. Like I love, but like even if Jeremy Doku's doing his like little prissy prancing, fancy dancing, like I want to slide in and kick his legs off underneath him. But like he's playing the ball.
I remember Thuram. I forgot, was it France Brazil? And Thuram, when he's a defender, he was a defender, and not the striker Thuram, but his dad. Mm-hmm. Was going to defend against Ronaldinho, and he was like, "Man, you ain't gonna be doing this stuff to me." And he just tackled him. He was like, "Yeah, this is not happening. I'm not going I'm not on a highlight tonight. Forget that."
Yeah, well, because and again, just so that I can reiterate it, there's a difference in dribbling for advancement, and dribbling for showing off and acting a fool, and it's pretty obvious when it works, like. Even though like Jeremy Doku doesn't have a lot of end product, his skill moves do work. His dribbling on those wings does work.
Yeah.
Neymar would flirt a little bit with the disrespectful.
Yeah.
Ronaldinho would as well, but not as much, because even though he did a lot of wild stuff, you look at his highlights, it was all for the advancement of the play.
Yeah.
He wasn't just in the back going like
that's
he
true.
He was doing some insane stuff, and like I would be embarrassed if I concede to him in those moments, but he's moving forward. He's looking for passes. He's looking for a shot on net. Like he's not just like time wasting. Because like I said, that Anthony thing where he did the like little heel spin in the wing. It's like you're gonna be a fucking moron. Is what you're doing.
That's why I always.
Because he is a moron.
I always say when people compare and just the dribbling sphere, Neymar, because at some point they say Neymar he's the most skillful player. I'm like, no. Ronaldinho will always be for me because every time that Neymar dribble, you can count how many times were actually to break down the defense, make an intelligent play, and how many times it was for nothing. You're in the midfield, you dribbling, passing back the ball back, and doing it just there's no point.
No.
And Ronaldinho, most of the time he was efficient.
Did it again. No, just keep going.
Most of the time he was efficient. So that's for me. I think
for sure.
Ronaldinho will always be the best dribbler till now. Haaland scored 100 goals in 105 games. I think he did the same thing as Ronaldo. It also kind of puts in perspective how good Ronaldo was in a sense. Because if you think about it, when Ronaldo did have that record, he was still a winger and not a striker.
Yeah.
He just got to Madrid.
Yeah.
He was playing that left wing. And that shows you the magnitude and impact of how good was Ronaldo. I know everybody is now taking cheap shots because, it's the thing to do.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I've always hated about athletics personally, because it's less prevalent in the arts, even though this new generation kind of does it as well. This new generation really just doesn't like anything that's not happening right this second.
That's what I hate.
They're fucking morons.
In every single thing. I can't stand
it. Yeah, whereas in the arts, it used to be this thing of, a filmmaker could... if their prime was in the early 60s, but they're still making films in the late 80s, and those films in the late 80s aren't as good, not by a long shot. Are they bad? No. Are they middle of the road? Yes. Do you still have a sign of respect for that filmmaker based on the body of work that they've accumulated? Of course you do.
Yeah.
There was nobody that was saying, Michelangelo Antonioni's a hack, get him the fuck out of here. Like, no one was actually saying that because, they're like, wow, this guy did this and this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how long ago it was. Athletes, it's always been this way, and I do think that it's because it's a populist sport, and no offense, but sports are kind of the lowest common denominator. It doesn't mean that you're dumb for liking sports, but a lot of dumb people like sports. So your chances of running into dumb people in sports conversations is very high. And so they're the ones that think that because
recency bias is the most interesting thing that this generation has developed and acquired as a skill.
Yeah, like keep it in sports. It's fine. It's always been there, but keep it out of my fucking arts and culture.
Even in sport, I remember back in the days when you had a discussion about this player against this player, or this team against this team, or this coach against this coach. The discussion was based around the body of work, was around what he has accomplished his entire career, instead of being, oh, he is trash because he just lost last year and he's been losing this year. It's all about what's happening in this event, what's happening now, and you take that as he is the best because now he is the guy. That's not how it's supposed to be.
And they've also co-opted the word bottled.
Yeah.
Like, and I get in an argument with this as well. Yeah, like because they lost against the best club in Europe with 10 men in the final minute. Like, that's not bottling a game. Bottling a game is when you have, or bottling the league.
Yeah.
It's when you have it, it's yours to control for the majority of something, and you let it slip away. It's not a 1-for-1 scrappy game. There's no bottling that game like that. Like that, like they think that just because you lose something now that you've bottled something. That's not the expression. Little boys and girls, go to school. I'll break out the blackboard and we'll do this thing the right way. Old school.
Probably one of these episodes.
But shut the fuck up.
Gen X and Gen Z or whatever generation they are, they're really good at having these buzzwords for this moment. And I just want to tell you guys that if you, like I said, don't want to watch us, you don't like our face, you can listen to us. We're on Spotify.
I love our faces
this every Tuesday.
I love our faces.
Yeah, you
give us a round of applause for our faces.
All right there. You got that one right. And if you want to watch little clips and you say, I don't want to watch the whole 40 minutes or whatever,
little clip,
go on TikToks and watch it. Go on Instagram or go on I don't upload on Twitter that much. But if you want to watch,
Twitter sucks anyway though. You know what, guy, I'm not gonna say don't follow us on Twitter, because you should follow us on Twitter.
Twitter has become like a taxi of this is how I describe it, a taxi filled with conspiracy theorists, non-factual event, and every single event that goes on in the world and is being a propaganda to anything in one taxi in motion.
And also, where did all the crazy porn come from? Where did it all come from? Like, you're sitting there with your wife, and like it's not even that you're upset that it's your wife, because like it's happening to her too. You're just like, Jesus, you can't even scroll through Twitter anymore, and like. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't had that in years. Basically, what I do have is I have a fake, like, not a fake account, because I don't comment on it. No, I mean, like, I follow like 4 things. I follow soccer news, and I follow like 2 or 3 film outlets. And I check those like updates, like, oh, this is coming out on Blu-ray, this is in theaters, and that's it. If you consider that using Twitter, I use Twitter, but that's basically
but you
like
use it for certain specificity. So,
it's like the old BlackBerry News app. Just click it real quick. You're like, oh, the stocks are so and so, sweet.
Yeah,
and then you're done with the day, and you get to move on. You get to go outside, kids. Go outside, you fucking mongrels.
Go outside and touch some grass. Let that sun
shove your fucking face in it. I'll shove your face in that grass, you little bitch.
Yeah, go listen to us, Top Corner Podcast, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.